I'm preparing some scallop cut trim that I'm going to put on a swag. And because I'm putting this on a swag, I cut my strips of fabric on the bias so that they're nice and stretchy, and they'll make a nice curved edge along the bottom of a swag. So I have 2 cuts for each swag of a 3-inch bias cut, and I have a pattern here of my scallops, and I'm leaving a 1/2 inch at the top here for seam allowance, and then I'm going to draw on the scallop with pencil onto the green, and then I'm not going to cut it out, I'm just going to sew over my pencil line, and that way I can get a true, the stitching on the actual curve rather than cutting it and then trying to follow the curve as I sew with the guide on the foot. I already tested this once, and by drawing on the scallops with pencil, I found it to be much easier than cutting the scallops out first. So just wanted to show you how this looks. Before I go over to the sewing machine. And another thing to keep in mind is when you're laying your bias cuts down, not to pull them tight, because it will stretch and it will shrink the amount of the 3-inch piece that you cut. I want this to stay true to 3 inches, and I can see the lines on my table and make sure that this is laying straight and it's staying at 3 inches. And so if I stretch it too much, I can just move it back until it's 3 inches again. That way that gives me enough seam allowance at the top, and then down here this will end up being a 1/4 inch seam allowance where I go in and stitch right on that pencil line. What's left will be a tiny 1/4 inch seam allowance there, and then I'll cut the rest of this away and snip up to the corner before I turn it and press it.